What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Thank you for joining us here on 88.1 FM WVYC Radio, the voice of York College. I am here with Ryan Kubicki. This is Timothy Steins here, host of your favorite sports talk show, another radio show that I put together. You could hear Thursdays at 7 o'clock on the same station. But this week got something different going on here. Ryan and I are going to start our own podcast, the Untitled podcast. We're going to talk football. We're going to talk all different sports as they come along. But right now, first few episodes, our main focus is going to be football and even some fantasy football. This is actually our first podcast series together. Both of our first time recording for a podcast, so we're both very excited and eager to give you the best insight on what you want and need to know about sports. Just to get us started, start with some introductions. So my name's Tim Steins. I'm a senior sport management major here at York College. I'm actually from Long Island, New York, about 5.5 hours away. And some of my favorite sports teams are the New York Yankees, the Brooklyn Nets, and the Minnesota Vikings. Ryan, introduce yourself here, man.
My name's Ryan. I am a super senior here at York College. I'm a psychology major with a sociology minor. I'm from York, Pennsylvania. I am a Steelers fan, a Pirates fan, a Michigan Wolverines fan, a Pitt Panthers fan, and a Pittsburgh Penguins fan.
Wow, something reminds me of all those teams you listed. They all sound like week one L's or ties, man. All right, well, on that note, let's get right into NFL action. We had a lot of week one action. Week one's a little different because specifically in the NFL, because most of your starters aren't getting full playing time in the preseason, and they have to come into the regular season full speed ahead. A lot of players get injured. A lot of players get tripped up easily. But we didn't see too much of that, except for Greg Olsen, which seems like every single season, first week. But we didn't see too much of that week one, which was good. But what we did see, looking at the NFL scoreboard, starting with Thursday's game, we had Philadelphia Eagles, the returning champions, against the Atlanta Falcons. Sloppy game right from the start. Eagles still pulled away with the victory. I know one of my buddies of mine already thinks the Eagles are going to go 16-0. I want to tell him that right now, that that's not going to be a thing. They only put up 18 points at home against the Falcons. Everyone was healthy except for Wentz, and Foles won the Super Bowl last year, so that's not really an excuse. I think the Falcons actually look better than the Eagles in this game. Julio Jones went off. But, Ryan, what were your thoughts on the game?
I mean, I really thought it was a toss-up. Week one, you really can't get a good read on the teams. They're pretty rusty. It's really the first time that you get out there and together as a first unit, this actually matters. So first half you kind of threw it out the window, and then second half even, you kind of saw a real sloppy play from both teams, and you really just don't know if Nick Foles is going to be the answer there for the first 3 to 4 weeks without Carson. So
I mean, he was the answer in all the playoffs, so how are you already going to say right now that he might not be the answer?
I mean, just watching him week one, I really just don't think he has that it factor. He might have had that lucky run, but there's quarterbacks always that have that run, such as, have Joe Flacco that had the amazing run, gets a big contract, and then ever since then, he's getting pushed out right now by Lamar Jackson. It just happens, some things go your way, defense sticks up for you, you get the bounce.
Best case for the Eagles, I think, right now would be for when Wentz becomes healthy, if Foles stays semi-dominant, if he keeps winning, he becomes a trade target right at that deadline. They could get a good player. Well, as long as Wentz is healthy and playing again, they could get a really good, first-round caliber player, whether it's a pick or whether it's an actual player. They're going to get something good for him if he leaves the team.
Exactly, I agree 100%.
All right, moving on. We got the 49ers and the Vikings. I actually wasn't here to see this game, but I listened to it in my car. I was driving home from upstate New York. Listening to this game was kind of confusing because I thought Minnesota was going to run away with it in the first half. They came off firing. Jimmy Garoppolo threw 3 picks total. He didn't really look too good or sound too good, actually. 15-33 on the day. Do you think Jimmy's going to keep playing like this for the rest of the season, or is he going to pick it up?
I'd like to think not, because the Vikings defense is one of the best in the league, with Rhodes
had a pick. Harrison Smith had a pick.
Sendejo.
But yeah, the front four also got to him. The front line got to him a few times also, and they also recovered 2 fumbles. So they really had an all-around great defensive showing at started. But yeah, Minnesota facing Green Bay next week with that Aaron Rodgers, who knows what his condition is, and the 49ers, they'll be taking on. I don't actually know as of right now, but. Either way, Vikings won that one 24-16 in the home opener. Kirk Cousins' first game as a Minnesota Viking. That's really what was being highlighted in this game. Very efficient passing. No really too fishy throws. The guy's got a real great arm, and he's so accurate. Even compared to Case Keenum, the way he played last year for Minnesota, you could just tell Kirk Cousins brings that X factor that he didn't have. He's more of a game-time player, and he's ready to rumble right in the first play of the game.
Yeah, I think Kirk Cousins is a big upgrade over Keenum, especially coming down the line when you have to rely on your quarterback to pick apart the defenses. Keenum could do it to an extent, but he just really didn't have the experience, I think.
After watching so many
confidence.
Vikings games, I saw Keenum. They were always backfield passes. Like he wasn't able to thread the needle like Kirk Cousins does, and that's how you get first downs in tough situations against good defenses. So that's where they're gonna thrive this season. We had the Jaguars facing up at Giants. Saquon Barkley's home debut. He didn't disappoint. 106 yards on 18 carries. I believe one of those was a 50-plus yarder for a touchdown. So really the brute of that rush yard was on run carry. So Saquon was a little questionable. Jaguars pulled away with a win in the end off a fumble recovery, return for touchdown. The Giants didn't play too bad, but the Jaguars didn't play too good, and they're playing New England next week. What were your thoughts on this one?
I feel like the Giants, they came out and kind of surprised people, sticking with the Jaguars like they did. But Saquon, I mean, he looked good, but the big thing with him is people won't know if he's just that one play, two plays a game splash, or if he'll be consistently averaging, 4 or 5 yards a carry.
And I'm thinking right now, I can't even think of a single person on the Giants' offensive line. So I'm not really too sure if they got one of the better ones in the NFC.
But it's also Jacksonville defense that led the league last year, and they were fierce.
Yeah, they had they were top 5 in sacks. Their cornerback core was obviously crazy and still is to that matter.
Malik Jackson, Calais Campbell.
They just start adding up on you, but I guess So
Darius.
OBJ had 11 receptions for 111 yards. I mean, Eli Manning went 23 of 37. Blake Bortles just a subpar performance. I mean, as usual with him, it's usually the defense that wins games for the Jacksonville Jaguars, but they pulled out on top 20-15. Next, we have the Steelers and the Browns, our first overtime game of the NFL season. Our first overtime game came in Week 1. The score finished 21-21. Ben Roethlisberger threw, I think, 3 picks. It was very early. Was able to come back at the end and get 2 scores in the third quarter. James Conner, shout out Pitt, Panther right there. 135 yards, 31 carries, absolutely incredible. If Le'Veon Bell is watching that game, he's got to be dying to get back on the field, seeing the way he played. Question about his job future. And Juju, 120 yards on 5 receptions. What did you see there, Ryan?
Well, I heard after the game, James Conner actually got a call from Le'Veon Bell. And James Conner did not display what was in that call, but who knows? Maybe it was congratulations or was it pettiness? Could go either way.
I mean, Le'Veon's still getting paid a good amount of money.
I mean, no,
James Conner,
not to start there right now.
Compared to Conner, though?
But he's not getting the money until he signs.
He's under a contract, though. So say he came back to the team and he didn't play, he'd still get that money.
Every game he misses, he's losing $900,000 basically.
Right, but that's not still that much when you have a $50 million contract.
Well, and he's only 14.55 this year.
Per year?
They're just this year. He's a 1-year deal.
So for 16 games. So even if he doesn't get the extension he wants, say he misses 6 games this season, and then he comes back, that's whatever, like what,
6
5,
mil,
4,
about
5,
6 million.
yeah, whatever. We'll do $1 million per game. So he'll lose $6 million, but he's gonna perform like another star, and he's gonna be able to get more money after this deal. So I mean, really, it's just for him. It's like the money's in his hand already, I think.
I'm not sure if I ever played our games with the Steelers because you gotta think that team.
The
really
offensive
lost
line
their
is
faith.
all mad at him. I mean, the whole coaching staff. Yeah, I don't.
It's not going to be the
Faith
same.
is a
It's
better
it's
word
like a
for it.
bad breakup right now, and
I mean, when you got the offensive line, like your key guys right there, literally the guys you really should only care about on they're the ones that are most upset with you. And I mean, they have a great reason to, though. They should be upset with Le'Veon.
I really think this offensive line likes James Conner. Like Pouncey said, they asked him his thoughts on James Conner being nervous for the first game, and he said he's playing football. Being nervous and like fighting for something is fighting leukemia, which James Conner did overcome too, which they really think he has a good story to him like everybody else in their team.
And I mean, he played great at Pitt too, and he waited a few seasons to get, his opportunity here with the Steelers. And look at that, 1 game out, 30 carries, gets 2 scores and 138 yards. So he made the most of it. But this game ended in a tie, no scores in overtime. It's kind of hard to believe, but I think we should talk about Tyrod Taylor here because he really played treacherously, and I think we should have seen a little bit of Baker Mayfield. Did he come in overtime, Baker Mayfield?
He did not, but
I really think we should have seen a little bit of him in this game. I mean, I guess you don't want to say you're losing faith in Tyrod by taking him out, but he went like 15-0 and so many missed throws. It was just really treacherous. But that game ended in a tie, and the Browns didn't lose, so that's something to look up to.
If you look at Ben, though, he had 23 for 41, so I feel like it was almost the conditions too.
It was. I mean, that definitely played a part in both quarterbacks, but Ben really played like trash. And if you were watching the game, you saw that. There was no way of getting around it.
But Tyrod's rating is a 51.8 and Ben's a 60.5.
Okay, but we're talking a difference between Tyrod Taylor, who didn't win a single game last season, and Ben Roethlisberger, who went to the playoffs.
Well, actually, Tyrod went to the playoffs as well as a Buffalo Bill. I mean, Tyrod Taylor's a good quarterback. He's a game manager. That's all he is.
He's not that good of a quarterback.
He's just a game manager.
I played him in fantasy 1 week last year, and I instantly made a huge mistake. Anything else to say about comparing Tyrod Taylor to Ben Roethlisberger?
I said Tyrod Taylor won't throw interceptions. He'll put you in the game, but he's not going to win it.
Okay, but if you're the Browns, how could you have someone starting a quarterback who's not going to win the game for you when that's literally all you need as an organization?
Well, we'll see coming up in a couple next weeks. Like their defense is good enough to win some games, I think.
Moving on, we have the Bengals and the Colts. The Bengals won this one 34-23. 17 points scored in the fourth quarter for the Red Rocket, Andy Dalton. Andrew Luck, not a bad game. First game back in, what was it, a year and a half?
2 years almost.
2 years. 2 touchdowns, 39 of 53 passing, 319 yards. Mixon stole the running game for in this game, 95 yards and a TD. A.J. Green, nice touchdown reception as well, and he was similar in yards with 92. I just don't see a difference in this Bengals team this year. I feel like just the same exact result you're getting. I know they have A.J. Green. He's a star. And Joe Mixon's good, and he's getting better. Mixon, yeah, so, I mean, he's a guy who's getting better, but I don't know if he's a caliber running back to give that team the wins that they need. They didn't get anyone in the offseason. They let go of LaFell. Just a threat they had. But John Ross is healthy. He looked good. He had a touchdown reception as well. They got some speedy receivers and they got speedy guys on the sides of the field, but it just really depends on how Dalton plays. And one week he'll throw no picks and a few touchdowns and he'll look like the GOAT, and then next week he's just absolutely awful. Looks like he's playing with his eyes closed. So what do you think about the Bengals and the Colts?
I mean, he scored 34 points on the Colts, which you should do, because I can probably name one defensive player in the Colts right now, and that's that's the only one I can think of. Terrible defense.
I mean, I don't even know if I could say something about their coaching. Because their head coach last season, they finally get their quarterback back, which is a bright spot in the organization. And they were winning at halftime. They were up 20-10. They looked nice. They scored a third quarter touchdown, but Bengals pulled away late and won that one. But, I mean, I guess a good sign for the Bengals, playing an all right team at home, really fended up for themselves the whole game. So brighter things to come from them. Moving on to the Titans and the Dolphins, this game actually had a weather delay because of the lightning in Miami, and that game restarted up. I think it delayed at like 1:45, restarted up around 4 o'clock, along with the other games, our evening games starting. Dolphins finished on top 27-20. Marcus Mariota got injured. Tannehill threw for 230 yards and 2 touchdowns. What did you see from both teams here?
I feel like I saw two teams that are going to be mediocre in the AFC at this point. I mean, Titans-Dolphins right now is not your ideal matchup, ticket price matchup you want to see. I mean, but Mariota, he looked okay coming out, but he didn't look at the playoff quarterback we saw last year at all. And Ryan Tannehill looked okay coming back from his, 2 years, I think, straight missed too.
He was gone for a while, and the Dolphins organization was just in shit. But, Tannehill got that contract before he got injured, and let's see if he could play up to it. I mean, they play in the AFC East, though, and the Patriots dominate every year, so who knows what the Dolphins are going to do this season. But newest acquisition for the Tennessee Titans, Deion Lewis actually stole the show a little bit from Derrick Henry, which I thought was surprising because I thought Henry was going to be the brute running back for Tennessee, and Deion Lewis gets the most carries. So 75 yards and a touchdown for him. You saw him last year on the Patriots really being a receiving threat as well as a running threat, but here they really ran the ball and rushed it on the ground with him.
I mean, I feel like they were playing from behind too, which plays a big factor in it.
The Titans?
I'm looking here, and it was 10-3 going into the fourth.
And they both had insane quarters.
And they both scored 17 in the fourth, so it was a lot of quick, strikes, which Deion Lewis that's what they brought him in for, is
right
to get that
Game
quick offense.
Plays, yeah. Texans fell to the Patriots 27-20, despite an extremely sloppy game from Houston. The Patriots pulled away with 7 points. Tom Brady, early touchdown to Gronk, first drive of the game. I thought this score was going to be run up by 40 points. But Houston hung in there on the road in New England. Gronk, 123 yards and a touchdown. Lamar Miller averaged 5 yards per carry with 100 yards on 20 carries. Deshaun Watson was shaky at first. His first game back from an ACL injury. I mean, you got to expect that a little bit. But he came together in the end. The last 2 quarters played better, and I think he's just going to continue to get better throughout the season once he gets back in the groove of playing against other teams, except for his own players on his own team like in practice.
It's definitely sad to see. I really want to see Deshaun Watson do well, especially because he played 5 games last year and was the top quarterback in the league at that time. So hopefully he get back to what he's doing. But this is just classic Patriots Week 1 win. You got Tom Brady. Nothing has changed. 26 for 39.
They were up 21-6 at halftime.
3 TDs. It just becomes a question is how and when will this guy finally age?
Dude, it's going to come. We're going to come to that time in the season where we get to talk some smack on Tom Brady, and everyone's going to be so happy to hear it, and our viewers are going to jump by 300%. Moving on, we have the Buccaneers and the Saints, which by far was the wildest game of Week 1. Ryan Fitzpatrick, the GOAT, 417 yards, 4 touchdowns. He was one of the highest scorers in fantasy this week, but played by most likely nobody because we thought he lived under a rock. But he was back. Drew Brees, a stellar game as well. 37 of 45, incredible percentage. 439 yards lasting out Fitzpatrick and 3 touchdowns for him. And let's talk about the receiving in this game. I mean, Kamara really killed it, but Michael Thomas, 16 receptions and 180 yards. Is this a sign for better things to come from the Saints, or was this just one real offensive blockbuster and, they're just going to ride it out for the rest of the season? What do you think?
I don't know. It's kind of scary because the Saints were hyping up their defense all offseason.
Yeah, you played them in fantasy.
I played them in fantasy. -9.
You finished with 74 points, buddy.
Shout out.
Fitzpatrick threw 21 passes for 417 yards. That is incredible. 4 touchdowns. He didn't get sacked one time. QBR of 156. Insane. Peyton Barber was the lead running back. Even Ryan Fitzpatrick was 30. He was second in rushing for the team. We saw Peyton Barber. He had 19 carries for 69 yards. He's going to be the lead rusher, I think, for Tampa Bay. So if you're a fantasy owner and you have Peyton Barber, be ready to start him soon because he's going to take the brunt of the running for this team. Mike Evans, 147 yards, and Deshaun Jackson, who was questionable before the start of the game, had 2 touchdowns and 146 receiving. I just think it's crazy that Deshaun Jackson is still a threat in the league when he just gets tossed around team to team to team. I just remember that game against the Giants where he got that kick return, and everyone in New York was so sad when he was playing for the Eagles, and I feel like he's been on like 3 or 4 teams even in between that. And this guy still has the legs of an absolute horse. I mean, and now we go over to New Orleans, and Michael Thomas had 180 receiving, Alvin Kamara 112 receiving, and you know what? I'm going to compare this game to the Minnesota game because they used Dalvin Cook as a receiver more than they used him as a rusher. And look at Alvin Kamara. He got 112 yards on 9 catches, and those are backfield catches that he turns into yardage. So, I mean, it really takes an elusive player to be able to do that, and he might be the best in the league at that.
But again, they were down, so they had to play from behind and just pass the ball, and that's the Saints' way.
They were like neck and neck the whole game. It's kind of seems.
I mean, I felt like they were down by 14 at all times. Like they could never just break
right,
through.
Because Fitzpatrick just kept answering.
It's truly an amazing game by him.
Speaking of a team being down the entire game, we saw the Bills lose to the Ravens 47-3. It took a little while for the head coach of the Buffalo Bills to say, Nathan Peterman, you threw 5 of 18. I think it's time for you to go. Then Josh Allen comes in 6 of 15. Not a bad stat line for him for only getting to play one half. No picks on the day. Nathan Peterman threw 2 picks. I remember Nathan Peterman's debut. I think he had 3 picks in one half or
5.
5 picks in a game. I mean, that's just absolutely absurd. Baltimore side, they even got Lamar Jackson in for a few plays. I think he ran one drive, went 1 of 4, 24 yards. But, I mean, at that point, they were already up 26-0 by the start of the third quarter. If I was Harbaugh, I might have played Jackson a little bit more to see how he faced up against.
They put them he played the wildcat basically all the first half. Like they bring him in constantly.
I mean, he didn't have. Remember, they were working him out as a receiver. He didn't have any. And he didn't have any targets. And he didn't have any. Oh, wait, he did have 7 rushes actually for 39 yards.
Yeah, he put
so
a lot.
That's an upside. So, but yeah, I mean, I don't know if the Bills are going to be any threat to any team in this league right now. They're looking at the. They're looking as the downside of football.
I mean, at the end of the day, it's Joe Flacco, though. He is one of the best quarterbacks in the league.
Do not say that because I know you're kidding. Joe Flacco played all right, but he's not the best quarterback or one of the best in the league. He's mediocre at best. He's good for his division. I'll tell you that.
I don't know. Watch it, man. He might have an MVP year. We're not sure yet. 3 touchdowns against the Bills.
Yeah, of course. They were all easy touchdown passes. The Bills, I don't even know what happened to their defense. They traded them all to the Patriots. Moving on, the Chiefs and the Chargers. Tyreek Hill go off, my friend. Starts the game off with a punt return for touchdown. 169 yards in the air, 2 touchdowns on 7 receptions, 20-plus yards per catch. Every time you throw this guy a ball, he's getting a first down. How is it hard to not pass that? And let's not forget, Patrick Mahomes was starting for the Chiefs today. If you weren't following in the offseason, Alex Smith is gone. He is on the Redskins. Chiefs welcome Patrick Mahomes. He tossed it out. I'm seeing Phillip Rivers here taking the cake, but really Mahomes, 256 yards, 15 of 27 in the air, and 4 touchdowns. Phillip Rivers, just as much praise, 34 completed passes, 3 touchdowns, and 424 yards. Were you a little disappointed with Kareem Hunt this game, or even more so Melvin Gordon with their rushing numbers?
I mean, I think Kareem Hunt just got played, actually. It seems like every time that's the red zone, it was like Tyreek Hill, Tyreek Hill, Tyreek Hill. Let's have the game in his life.
Or even Spencer Ware, because he was running like a bully.
Yeah, it was just a weird game, I think, for Kareem Hunt. I feel like he'll have a good season, but, sometimes it just happens. You kind of get lost in the mix of all the weapons. Mm-hmm. And Melvin Gordon, I think he still had a good fantasy day because I think he had a couple catches.
Melvin
If I
Gordon
remember right, he
receiving
had,
had 9,
I
so
think
that's a
he
little
had
more than a couple for
28
102
standard
yards.
points.
Yeah, so absolute yardage for him. He had 166. No catches for Kareem Hunt. Sorry, Kareem. But Tyreek Hill seriously took the cake in this game. He really killed it. An elusive punt returner, by far the most dangerous in the game. But, I mean, looking at these high scores, what does this say for the defense of these teams? I mean, I guess maybe it's just week one. They're understanding teams. They got to watch film of them playing against other teams to see new plays that developed and all that stuff. So week one might really be more of an offensive week. And then when it comes down to it, I don't think there's going to be this much scoring next week because they're going to watch the film. They're going to see all the plays. They're going to try to run everything back. But any other takeaways from the Chiefs and Chargers?
No, I think just what you said. Week one, you just really don't know what you're going to get from any team.
Right. And then we saw the Seahawks play the Broncos in Denver, Mile High Stadium. 27-24, Broncos came out on top thanks to a game-winning field goal from Brandon McManus. Case Keenum, his first game as a Denver Bronco, 329, 3 touchdowns. I believe he had 2 or 3 picks in there as well. 3 interceptions. Russell Wilson, not usually used to seeing this from him. He was sacked 6 times by the Denver defense, 19 of 33 in the air, 298 total, and 3 touchdowns. And rushing yards for Russell Wilson, only 2 attempts for 5 yards. Just looking at this right here, this Seattle's rushing, they only had 16 attempts on the day. I think there's something wrong with that, and I think that might be a defining reason, those 6 sacks. What do you think?
Yeah, I have to agree. They just really didn't look comfortable all
And
day.
he only had 33 attempts in the air. So you could just tell right from that something is depleted from that team that they didn't have in the past 2 years. That's not their defense because we know their defense is all over the place now. Sherman's in the Niners. Is Earl Thomas still on the Seahawks?
He is, and actually he got activated on Saturday.
So
the roster.
So he didn't play or he did?
He did, and he had a pick 6, actually.
Oh, shit.
It was pretty wild because I saw the highlight, and I was like, wow, that's incredible. He missed all
what
preseason.
What about Bennett? Bennett's gone, right?
Bennett's on the Eagles now.
Yeah, so, I mean, you could just tell right there the Seattle Seahawks are a little depleted, but, I mean, they still toughed it out against the Broncos, but you're not going to see Russell Wilson get sacked another 6 times in a game, I don't think. Speaking of rushing, Royce Freeman, he was really a name that popped up in the offseason. He was going to be a lead ball rusher for the Denver Broncos. But Phillip Lindsay actually matched his total of 15 carries and 71 yards rushed. Devontae Booker, I think he got some more playing time last year, and I thought he had potential to be a better runner, but he only had 2 carries in the day, so I don't think it's going to work for him with those 2 guys in the backfield.
No, I don't think so either.
I think another bright spot in this game was rookie tight end Will Dissly, 3 receptions, 105 yards, and a touchdown, averaging 35 yards per catch. That's a target that they need. He looked like Jimmy Graham out there when he was playing well for the Seahawks. He was really the only target, though, that Russell Wilson was making connections with. Let's not forget they have Brandon Marshall now in the Seahawks. They still have Tyler Lockett, but and Doug Baldwin as well. Did he play, Baldwin?
I believe he got hurt.
He got hurt, so that's not looking too good for the Seahawks. But I don't see a dominant Seahawks team this year. I think the Rams are going to win away with that division.
Yeah, most likely.
And they might, usually it's the Seahawks on top, but it's not. I don't think it's going to be that way this year. Redskins trampled the Cardinals 24-6. It was 21-0 at halftime, and David Johnson ran a touchdown in at the end. They went for 2. They didn't get it. It was too late in the game anyway. They really weren't putting up a fight. Alex Smith in his debut, 255 yards, 2 touchdowns, 21 of 30 on the day. What do you think of AP in this game for the Redskins?
I mean, it's a great performance for him. It's good for him to get back out there and show everybody wrong that, released him, said he couldn't do anymore.
I mean, talk about putting your trust in a guy that had 26 carries.
It's a little under 4 yards a carry, which isn't bad. I mean, for his age especially, you're getting a bargain discount.
I like it, yeah. I mean, and they still have Thompson, right? Chris Thompson?
Yeah, Chris Thompson.
And he killed it. He rushed even more than AP did or similarly. Larry Fitzgerald still catching balls, 7 receptions, 76 yards. But they had Sam Bradford in the game, and I don't know how I feel about that. Kind of forgot he was on that team, and then I saw him out there, and I was like, okay, I'm not watching this game.
They paid Bradford the money, too.
His QBR was 25.9. Are you serious? Alex Smith, he did a lot much better. But, yeah, Chris Thompson, comparison to Adrian Peterson. Thompson's the young guy on the team. 5 carries, 65 yards. Adrian Peterson, the old man on the team, 26 carries. I think they're trying to get him started right from the beginning of the games and then reduce his total. He actually led receiving for the team, AP, as well, 2 receptions for 70 yards. So he actually had a stellar game, finished with 160-plus and a touchdown. So good for AP. He's back. David Johnson, 9 carries, 37 yards rushing, and 5 receptions, 30 yards receiving. What else do we need to see from him?
I feel like they're just kind of play in the box because there is no quarterback for the Cardinals right now, it looks like.
Do you think they're worried about his injury a little bit? They don't want to...
I don't think it's that. I think there's just no quarterback for the Cardinals, so why would you even worry about the pass?
Right. And then you're just loading up the box for the rush, and then your pass is so bad that it still can't counter what they're doing.
Most likely he's not throwing the ball 80 yards and doing anything dangerous for them.
Next, we have the Panthers and the Cowboys. Panthers, this was a very slow game. Cowboys didn't score until the fourth quarter. Panthers finished on top 16-8. Slow game for both quarterbacks. Cam Newton finished with 161 yards, 58 yards on the run. Cam Newton was the leading rusher for Carolina, and do you think that they could keep going this season if if it stays that way with Newton taking the gist of the rush for this team? Because I definitely do not.
I don't think it's going to continue like that, honestly. I think Christian McCaffrey kind of had a bad game, but once they get him going, I think he'll start stepping up the team a little bit in the run game because he really only played 10, 15 carries last season a game, maybe if that. So he needs to get
came in late to the season, right? And then he outperformed a lot of players on that team. And then we saw Greg Olsen go down too as well, so that's not good for the Panthers. Slow game there for both teams. Greg Olsen got injured. Main highlight of that one. Panthers came on top 16-8. We saw an Aaron Rodgers heroic comeback in the fourth quarter. 21 points. Beat the Bears 24-3. What do you think about Khalil Mack in this game, man? He is a monster.
Yeah, he's a savage. That's why you pay your star players. I mean, you pay him to go out there and do big things on Sunday Night Football. And he did that, but the second half, he really slowed down a little bit. But
he had a sack, he had a pass deflected, a fumble return touchdown, and I think a fumble forced, and an interception,
it was a pick six.
touchdown.
Yeah, it was pick six.
Okay. So, yeah, I mean, he killed it for the defense. And they still have some guys on that Chicago Bears defense. The NFC North really is about, lockdown defense, I say, aside from the Packers. And, they have Leonard Floyd, 3-year player out of Georgia. They have Khalil Mack now. Keem Hicks really was noted last season. Prince Amukamara in the backfield. I mean, they got the guys for it, and they compensated a little bit for that slower offense. I think Jordan Howard could have had a little better of a game, 15 carries for 82 yards. But Trubisky played all right. The only thing I'm worried about here is 171 yards on 23 completions. That's not going to do it for you. You need 20 of 30 for 286, averaging a first down per throw for Aaron Rodgers if you really want to win.
Definitely. I mean, a little more Mac, though. Do you think that he kind of slowed down because he's missed all this time, and this has really been, 5 days since he's been on the team?
I think what happened was they were up by 20 points.
Just to play the first game, you know what I'm saying? It just wouldn't be the same.
Because he didn't do any preseason with the Raiders?
Yeah, I think, he didn't do any. I think it's just maybe just a little tired, too. Like, a whole half, it's just like...
And he really
dominated the first
half.
So, I don't know. It'll be interesting to see how it goes,
I think he's still he might be Defensive Player of the Year this year, the way he just played right there. I mean, that was really intense. What wasn't intense was the Jets beating the Lions 48-17. Darnold started this game off with a treacherous pass intercepted by the Detroit Lions. But really, 48 points on the road by the Jets, 31 in that third quarter. And Sam Darnold started 1 of 5, or 0 of 4, I think it was, with 1 interception, and he finished 16-21. So he came back after that first drive and did not miss a pass, and finished out on top with 2 touchdowns and that 1 first quarter interception. So you could tell by far the Jets were the better team here. It wasn't just the game. The Jets might be the better team than the Lions here, and I don't think anyone might have been expecting that at the beginning of the season.
No, definitely not. And, fun fact, for the first 60 minutes of Lions games this year, beers are $3. Now, if you look at the
because they need their
breakdown,
fans to get rowdy for the
if you look
shitty
at the breakdown,
plays they make.
It was 17-10 at halftime. Second half, they got outscored 31-7. So imagine not getting that sale the second half, man. It must have been very rough for them.
Yeah, oh my gosh. People started leaving. The stadium looked empty. There was not a single sound it didn't even look like or sound like in that
I would have
stadium.
thought the score had been reversed, to be honest.
It was pretty treacherous. I mean, very poor showing by the Lions. You could just tell they don't have a guy in the backfield. And if Stafford can't make the plays on offense passing, they don't have a guy who's good enough to go get that ball and get 5 or 6 yards per rush. So they're not going to be able to do anything this season if this happens again. But who knows with the Jets? I don't think they're ever going to come close to scoring that much again during the season.
I hope so. It's fun to watch for sure, though.
It was fun to watch unless you're a Lions fan or unless you're an AFC East fan, because then you're like, whoa, wait.
I think even if you're the Patriots fan, you're like, you know what? Good for you, Jets. You put up 48 week 1.
Good job, boys. Good job.
You still know you're their father at the end of the day.
Right. Yeah. So then we had the Rams and the Raiders. I think this was the only Monday night where there's 2 games in a row, right?
Yeah, it's the only one of the season.
Yeah. So then we got followed by the Rams and the Raiders. John Gruden's first game of his tenure 10-year coaching tenure with the Raiders, and he looked like absolute garbage. Derek Carr, 3 interceptions. One of those is a garbage time pick, which lost me fantasy that week, so I have a very cold spot in my heart for this game and talking about it. Marshawn Lynch, your buns. Todd Gurley, 20 carries for 108 yards, not bad. Jared Cook, surprise for Oakland, 180 yards receiving. I actually picked him up today. What is this offense good at? Are they better passing? Are they better rushing? Are they a defensive team? I don't even know how to describe them.
The Oakland Raiders?
Yeah.
Or the Rams?
The Raiders.
The Raiders, I mean, I think Derek Carr is a little overrated, honestly. 3 picks, I mean, you just can't be doing that week 1.
Amari Cooper had one reception, and then he had 1 carry. He had 18 yards in the day. This is like a first-round pick for some people, Amari Cooper, and he comes out playing like that. And they got Doug Martin, 4 carries, 20 yards. Is this guy done, Doug Martin?
I mean, it just goes to show John Gruden was the quote-unquote quarterback whisperer, but you got Derek Carr playing like garbage out there.
I mean, he threw for 303 yards, 30 passes, but he had 3 picks, and some of those picks just looked like they were like flag football league picks. It was bad. Brandon Cooks had a game, 87 yards. Cooper Kupp looked good, 52 yards and a touchdown. And Robert Woods as well. Small day, but I think the Rams receiving core is low-key a little filthy. Cooper Kupp was slow last season, but he was picked up a lot halfway through the season, around week 8 and week 9. And then the acquisition of Brandon Cooks was definitely huge for them. And not to mention, they added so much more to their defense. Just by looking at here, Aqib Talib, they signed LaMarcus Joyner long-term. The Ndamukong Suh lined up next to Aaron Donald. Dude, imagine being an offensive lineman and seeing Ndamukong Suh. Well, first off, you're afraid you're going to get stepped on at some point. And then you see Aaron Donald, you're afraid he's going to smash your helmet with his and like snap it into pieces. This guy's a beast. I mean, I don't know if I like Minnesota's defense, but do they compare to the Rams? I mean, it's kind of tough to say. I feel like the Rams' defense is so much more hard-nosed than Minnesota's, but Minnesota is more efficient.
Yeah, you have
Marcus Peters, too.
And Keeps Lead.
Yeah, I mean, it really does. The list just goes on, and they were always known for a good D, and now Jared Goff is there, and their offense was insane last season, and now their defense is going to be insane.
Did you see they were trying to trade for Khalil Mack as well?
They don't have the money to do that.
No, they were going for it, but the Raiders said, you're going to pick too low for us. That means they think that they're going to be like picking 28, 29, 30, and that's what they didn't want.
They're going to be so good. That makes sense. So
imagine Khalil Mack in that defense. They would be.
That would not be fair for the NFC, man. I don't know if I would like the sound of that. Moving on from week 1, we got week 2 ahead, and we got predictions. A lot of good stuff coming. So let's see what we got here. What's the first game of the week? Fill me in.
Baltimore versus Cincinnati.
Bengals win by a touchdown, in my opinion. I see Flacco not throwing too well, but going all right. 1 touchdown. I think Mixon's going to steal a game here against the Baltimore defense. They looked good against the Buffalo Bills, but that's because it's the Buffalo Bills. 3 touchdowns for me this week out of Mixon, but the Bengals win 5-few.
I have the Ravens 31-10. I believe the Ravens are out for revenge after the Bengals knocked them out of the...
for revenge?
Yeah, the Bengals knocked them out of the playoffs last year.
Points.
The
chilling.
Bengals
They're in
knocked
a hot
them
tub right now.
Week 17 last year, the Bengals knocked them out of the playoffs, and the Bills got in. Ravens are back for revenge. It's going to be a blowout. I think it's going to be Joe Flacco, probably, 4 touchdowns maybe?
Joe Flacco is not going to have as good of a game as he had. He doesn't have the receiving core there, I don't believe.
John Brown, Michael Crabtree, Willie Snead.
Old. They're getting worse and worse. Kansas City versus Pittsburgh Steelers. Steelers played better than they did against the Browns, which really isn't that hard. They played the Browns, and they couldn't even freaking win, man. Are you serious? Is Le'Veon Bell coming back? I don't think so. Steelers win 31-28. Tyreek Hill, another monster game. Probably a few touchdowns. What's wrong with this guy? He's an animal. He needs to be sponsored somewhere.
Yeah, maybe like, I don't know, Ladies Foot Locker.
Ladies Foot Locker? Dude, I'd like to see you in a foot race with Tyreek Hill.
I'd burn him. But I got the Steelers 27-17. I think they come back and rebound. Sure, they don't need Le'Veon Bell to win and get that big dub for the O-line and the rest of the team here.
All right, Minnesota versus Green Bay. Is Aaron Rodgers going to be absolutely healthy? We don't really know. We're going to see. He's used to not playing healthy anyway. Dalvin Cook, 100-plus rush yards in this one for me. 150 total yards all-purpose. Vikings win by a touchdown or 2. But in general, these games are always fun to watch. I know, obviously, rivalry games are fun, but watching Minnesota and Green Bay play is really second to none. Lambeau fans are crazy, and Minnesota is an absolutely great team this year, and Kirk Cousins is going to tear them up.
Yeah, I'm taking the Vikings 28-16. I think the Vikings are going to show Aaron Rodgers that this isn't his division anymore.
No way. Absolutely not. I mean, honestly, I think it's really more between Minnesota and Chicago. I know Green Bay won that game, but listen, Aaron Rodgers isn't going to be able to do that every single week. Like, it's just not possible that you could do that every week. It just happens one week, and now you're going to be looking out for it any time during the game. And I think Minnesota's defense, comparatively to Chicago Bears, even with Khalil Mack, is a great deal better. Vikings are going to win that one, no doubt about it. Carolina versus Atlanta. Cam Newton needs to play better, and they need to find a rusher to rush the ball because they can't give the ball to Cam and make him run up the middle when you're paying guys to do that as their job. They got a little lucky against a bad playing Dallas and a slow Ezekiel Elliott. The team needs to get more rushing yards than their quarterback if they want to win. I see Carolina taking this one by a few.
I got Carolina 35-27. I think Atlanta is kind of done on defense right now. They got Deion Jones after the year. Keanu New, their safety.
He's out,
he's after the year. I mean, it's just not looking good for the Falcons after a poor week one showing. That
was really bad. I mean, they played the Eagles, though. Obviously the Eagles are defending champions. They destroyed Minnesota Vikings in the conference championship.
Destroyed.
I cried. I had to leave. I couldn't watch the game anymore. So they played slow. Both teams played slow, though. So I'm expecting a big difference in Atlanta this game. Moving on, the Chargers versus the Buffalo Bills. Buffalo played so bad last Sunday. I don't even know how they could possibly rebound from that. Nathan Peterman, go back to college. Josh Allen is ready to play. He is NFL ready. We're going to see him kill it. Sorry, Pitt product, but it's time for the Wyoming boy. Who knows what he used to play, man? You're living in Wyoming. Like, what did he even do? He probably just got home from school and threw, like, thousands of footballs. Let's see him do that against the Los Angeles Chargers. Actually, let's not see him do that because I'm playing the Chargers defense this week. So let's not see him do that. But Phillip Rivers, 4 touchdowns for me this week. Solid performance last week, week 1. And Phillip Rivers, I'm telling you, man, he's underrated. This 31-14 LAC.
I think we're in for another disappointment from the Chargers. 0-2 start. LA's coming from West Coast to East Coast.
That doesn't mean anything. There's a whole week in between games.
Oh, you'd be surprised the difference it makes.
It's still warm in Buffalo.
I think
it's not cold yet.
It's not that. It's just the time zones of travel. I think the Bills are going to take this one 17-14.
They're already in Buffalo, like, chilling there. They're fine.
17-14 Bills.
That is a bad prediction. You're going to get smoked about that. Houston versus Tennessee. DeAndre Hopkins needs a better game than last week. Is Fuller going to be healthy this week?
I have
Regardless,
no idea.
DeAndre Hopkins is going to be the lead receiver. Don't expect him to ever put up as low as a number as he did last week. Well, just paying PPR because he really didn't play that bad. But you're going to expect to see a lot more from him. Tennessee without Mariota is going to be tough to watch. Better game for Watkins as well. 21-10 Houston.
I got Houston 38-10. I also think it'll just be a blowout. I mean, if Mariota doesn't play, then, yeah, they're done. That's pretty much it.
A bully match.
But I think he is going to play, it sounds like, but still, he's not going to be healthy. And Houston's going to go out and show that they're the Houston Texans of old, probably.
Wait, what about the Houston Texans?
They're going to go out and show they're the Texans of old, man.
The Texans of old?
Yeah, the first 5 weeks through last year, they were dominant on offense. They're
all
put
right,
up
man.
points.
All right, Cleveland versus New Orleans. Tyrod Taylor plays better, but still isn't enough for the Browns to win. I hate Tyrod Taylor. I don't even like talking about him. New Orleans, high-flying offense, full effect against the Buccaneers. But Alvin Kamara led fantasy scoreboard in points. How does that even happen? New Orleans still lost, but they absolutely killed on an offense. They're going to kill on offense as well against the Browns. 35-16 in favor of the Saints.
All right, I'm taking a little upset here. I got the Browns 28-24. I think they get their first win in over 2 years.
They almost got it last week.
Well, I guess not
so
2 years yet, almost 2 years. But I'm thinking if the Saints gave up 48 points to the Buccaneers, what could Tyrod Taylor, Jarvis Landry, and Josh Gordon do? That team is very good in offense. I mean, we'll see what happens to the Dome. It's not
very
bad
good. They have very good offensive players, but it doesn't mean they're very good on offense.
We'll see. We'll see what happens this week. You know, it's going to be a learning experience. What Browns we got here?
Miami Dolphins versus New York Jets. Miami versus New York Jets. The Jets put up 47 points on Monday in Detroit. Darnold picked himself up after an interception. Dolphins have much less of a respected defense than they used to, and even less of a defense than that of the Lions. I think the Jets are going to win this one by 15.
I got the Jets 42-21. I think they're going to come out there and just dominate again. I mean, if the Jets are out 2-0, New York's to be going nuts.
They really will be.
Darnold jerseys be going off the charts right now, probably. I mean, we'll see.
He deserves it, man.
But I think the Jets are just kind of going to start out really hot here and then probably fade off again like the Jets normally do.
Eagles versus Tampa Bay. Can Fitz do it again? Will Jameis Winston start when he comes back from suspension? Not if Fitz wins this game against the Philadelphia Eagles. I might start believing that Winston lost his starting job if he does win this one and continues his winning ways. Even if loses but still plays the way that he did, it's going to be tough to take him out of the game. And he's getting paid a lot less than Jameis Winston, which stinks on the Buccaneers' part, but all that matters is winning in football. And if Fitzpatrick is doing that, why take him away? I think the Eagles are still going to play better, though, win this one by at least 2 touchdowns.
I got Tampa Bay 24-17. I think that Ryan Fitzpatrick's the perfect quarterback to sub in there for a few games. He does it all the time. I mean, he did it for the Bills when he was there. He just won somehow, some way. He just does. He knows how to win games. That's what he's good at.
He knows how to win. Indianapolis versus the Redskins. Andrew Luck, buns. I'm just kidding. He played very great, but it's not going to be like that all season. Watch him get injured again. This guy is so slow. I don't even know if I really like Andrew Luck. I liked him coming out of college. Smart guy, Stanford. You got to respect him. But he just sat out for way too long, man. I mean, no comment, really. T.Y. Hilton is not going to have as good of a season as he did last year. I don't really see any other standout receivers. Jack Doyle, a tight end. He's Ait. But otherwise, Indianapolis doesn't have the weapons. And 3 random running backs for the Indianapolis Colts is not going to cut it. I mean, Andrew Luck did play well. They couldn't finish it out against the Bengals. I don't think he's going to play as well this game in Washington. I think Washington's going to take this one 31-17.
I think the Colts are going to win 24-17, and just because Andrew Luck, I mean, he looks like he's back, and if he's back, I mean, it's going to be trouble for that division, I think, because the Colts are decent, but he brought that team like almost to a win, which is incredible because that roster, like you said before, it's terrible. Terrible roster for the Colts, and Andrew Luck made that big of a difference to actually get them within.
Well, who even played for them last season? Who was their starting quarterback?
Jacoby Brissett.
Jacoby Brissett, dude. Are you serious? Jacoby Brissett?
I mean, the Colts should have won that game, but Jack Doyle fumbled last week. Remember that at the end.
Jack Doyle. Oh, Doyle rules. All right, Arizona versus Los Angeles Rams. David Johnson played well. He needs to play better, though. He really didn't play that well. He needs to play very well, but it's going to be tough throwing him up against that Ram front line. He's really got to be the driving force of offense for that team, especially if they want to even come close to competing in games. He may be the biggest running threat in all the NFL, and that needs to open up the passing game for Sam Bradford and potentially Josh Rosen. Put Rosen in if Sam Bradford doesn't have a touchdown throw in the first half. You should not have faith in this guy. The Rams are going to win this one big. I don't even think Arizona's going to score.
Yeah, I got the Rams 41-10. I mean, the Cardinals are just terrible, honestly. Like, they are up for one of the worst teams in the league, but they're definitely not beating the Rams next week.
Detroit versus San Francisco. Jimmy G rebounds from last game. 3 passing touchdowns for him against the Lions. Honestly, after I really watched him break down that Jets-Lions game, even though there wasn't much to break down, he might be going for 5 touchdowns, man. Need some sort of replacement with McKinnon gone. I forgot who they had running against the Minnesota Vikings, but wasn't bad, but they really do need someone. I mean, if there's some veteran out there they could pick up and use for the rest of the season, I don't think it could hurt that bad. I see San Francisco taking this one 21-13.
Yeah, I got San Francisco winning this one too, 28-17. I think it's going to be a good performance by them, and the Lions just looked like very bad last week. And it's just Jimmy G is going to rebound. He is Tom Brady's prodigy. He's the baby goat, as I call him. I think it's going to be a nice game for San Francisco back at home too, so we'll see.
Oakland versus Denver. Case Keenum has to cut down on the sloppy throws. He needs to play like he used to play in Minnesota and earn his money because the way they paid him, they weren't able to pick up anybody else in the offseason. Season really is on his back. I don't see Oakland putting up too many points here. Denver wins 17-7.
Yeah, I got Denver 21-10. I mean, John Gruden so far, his debut was not impressive.
Sad.
So I think that might have been a waste of 10-year contract, but we'll see what happens.
New England versus Jacksonville. Bortles throws way too many picks, and Brady makes this one look way too easy. Barely beat the New York Giants, the Jacksonville Jaguars did. But not the best momentum they could have going from that game now matching up with the Patriots. Patriots win this one big. Gronk has 2 touchdowns, 28-13 New England.
Yeah, I like New England big too, 34-10. I think they're just going to come out and show Jacksonville's not in the same class as them, and they got lucky last year in the playoffs just being that close to them, honestly.
Yeah, right. New York Giants versus Dallas Cowboys. Really crappy Sunday Night Football game. I wish I didn't have to watch this, but there's nothing else to watch Sunday at 8 p.m. This used to be an enjoyable match to watch, but only two good things coming out of these are the running backs. It's going to be fun watching Zeke and Saquon face up against each other. I think Dallas is going to take this one 13-10. Not too many scores here.
Yeah, I got the Giants 17-14 just based on the fact of Saquon Barkley playing in prime time. I think he's going to have a huge game.
Seattle versus Chicago Bears. Russell Wilson still got it, but the Seattle defense may not anymore. Chris Carson versus Jordan Howard is going to be a good battle. Brandon Marshall making a return to the stadium where it all started for him. Could be a good one. He had a few receptions last game, and who knows with the receivers that they have there and the Chicago backfield, maybe not the best in the league. Maybe one of the more subpar backfields in the league. That might open up some spots that Russell Wilson needs to fill. I think Seattle's are going to take this one by a touchdown.
I got Chicago 21-17 for the first win of the year. I believe Jordan Howard, he really got it going last week, but I think he'll get more carries this week, and Drake Cohen will get a little less. But we'll see what happens on Sunday. I mean, Russell also looked like garbage last week, so hopefully he can rebound to the MVP shape he was.
Bad, man. They don't have it on offense.
He looked a little overrated, as a lot would say, man.
All right. Well, anyway, that wraps up NFL Week 1 and Week 2. We got a lot of people excited for this segment here. We got to talk about the 2018 Jackson Street Bowl, guys. This is some serious stuff. We put a lot of money on this league. $2 a team. $2. Are you kidding me? That's for the big bucks. We got teams. We got the Christian Missionaries, the Brady Bunch, 2 Mannings, 1 Cup, Tomato Brown, Team Hirsch and Hornchurch, the Flying Foxes, the Washington Native Americans, Kyle's dad, the Las Vegas Langstroms, Team Batapee, Dalvin and the Chipmunks, and Show Me Dem TDs. We have a lot of action from Week 1 that we need to talk about. First off, how does a team put up 151.6 points? Wait. How does a team put up 178 points? Both these guys weren't even at their computer or phone during the draft. They just drafted when it was known that it was an alert for them in their phone. 2 Mannings, 1 Cup, 151 points, second most in the league. Team Hirschenhorn, 178 points, number 1 in the league. He had Tyreek Hill, that's why I won. But Ryan, Christian Missionaries is the guy to the right of me. 74.8 points in fantasy, and this guy's, my fantasy team is the best in the league. What do we got? His highest score is Andrew Luck. That's sad that you even have him in the first place. But anyways, how are you going to rebound from this week, Ryan? What do you think you need to do?
I mean, Andrew Luck, first of all, had 19.5. He's a 12th ranked quarterback for a 12-man league.
You can't call him a Hall of Fame quarterback.
No, 12th ranked. 12th ranked. Okay. Yeah. I got Christian McCaffrey, Royce Freeman, and James Conner. I didn't play James Conner last week, which was dumb.
Sad.
He had 34.2. And I also had the Saints defense, which was just disgraceful, negative 9. And DeAndre Hopkins had a terrible game. I mean, I think he's going to put up more than that next week. We'll see what happens here. I have good faith in my team. I'm projected for, I think, one of the most next week at 120.
That's what they all say. Well, listen, I lost last week because of a Rams garbage time touchdown on defense. Show Me Them TDs screwed me over. 106.2 to 104.6 was the final. Absolute bogus. I'm coughing just thinking about it. Excuse me. But really, my team did play well, man. I mean, Robbie Anderson, you have to do better. Marvin Jones, 4 catches? What is this garbage? Why am I picking these players that aren't going to produce? We got a lot of action in Week 2 that we need to focus on. But with the conclusion of Week 1, we have some Week 1 power rankings. Ryan, will you please share those with us?
All right, let me break them down here. Should we start from number 1 down, or should we start from the back?
No, we got to start from the bottom.
All right. Coming at number 12, we have the Flying Foxes.
Devin Morris.
He has a high school roster, and you lost to Furby. There's no excuses this week, man. You're coming in last place, number 12.
I mean, really, with that name, the Flying Foxes, I feel like that's a name I'd put for a kickball team in elementary school. The Flying Foxes. Can you think of anything better, man?
Number 11, the Washington Native Americans. I mean, I don't think the Washington Native Americans are that bad of a team, but
it might be the person behind the team. His name is Ham. I mean, it might be the Ham.
He just didn't have it on Sunday when he was coaching his team, but hopefully next week he'll be able to fly out the rankings. I mean, he doesn't have Le'Veon Bell's first pick.
He's actually playing me this week, so Ham, you are screwed.
It's a big win for Ham this week. He might fly out the rankings. All right, at number 10, we had Tomato Brown. He was projected himself as undefeated this year.
This guy likes to think that his favorite teams are always going to go undefeated. Last season, he told me the Vikings were going to go 0-6 in their first 2 games. What did they do? They went 6-0. This guy is on some stuff that nobody wants to be on. What's a Tomato Brown in the first place? And second of all, your team lost. You're lucky the Bengals won because that's probably not going to happen too many times the rest of the season. So just stay happy this week while you can.
He should be the Brown Tomatoes of that performance. But needless to say, he was defeated week 1, not undefeated this year, 0-1.
Way to go, brother.
Smith. All right. At number 9 is the Christian Missionaries. And as you heard before, the Saints defense didn't perform, and James Conner, he decided to go off on my bench. But we'll see what happens here next week.
Your team scored 74 points. There's no excuses here, man. You should even be... This guy made the rankings, and he put himself number 9 after scoring 74
If you look at my roster, it's very deep.
That's what she
compared
said.
to a lot of these rosters. These are basically based on potential rest of the season.
All right, well, coming in at number 8, we have Dalvin and the Chipmunks. I really tried to win this one. I really thought I had it right from the beginning. Actually, right after the draft, I said that I had the best team in the fantasy league, and then I had guys doubling my score. But, hey, man, it happens. Well, listen, Ryan thinks that because I'm a ginger, I'm not going to get the Week 2 win. It must have been John Gruden. He actually set the play up once he saw my fantasy team only having 3 points up against the Rams defense. And he goes, all right, let's just give the Rams one more garbage time touchdown to screw over this guy with the red hair. That's what he thinks. That's what happened. I'm 0-1 now, and I'm not happy about it.
Could you disagree, though? I mean, it kind of sounds realistic, doesn't it?
Well, there's not too many good ginger quarterbacks in the league, and he's the quarterback guru, so he sees Andy Dalton probably as a disgrace. He saw him win that game. He's like, oh, my gosh, I got to screw over one of them.
Yeah, exactly. All right, at number 7, we have Team Hirschenhorn, a.k.a. Furby. Austin, congratulations, man. You beat a high school team, and honestly, this might be your only win in the entire season. Great job. You did score 178 points, but let's be honest with you. We might see you at number 12 next week. All right, number 6, we have Team Batapede. And
Alfred, well played this week.
Yeah, I love the name. It's very different
so
and out
original.
there.
Like, I've never heard of it before.
But Matt Ryan and Travis Kelce decided not to show up for you. You lost by 7 points. You could have easily won that one. At number 5, we have Kyle's dad. Saquon Barkley is a tank for you, of course. He had 20 points. And the Bears, unfortunately, were not a tank last week.
Bears defense?
The Bears in general just, blew that game. So we have
Kyle's dad is actually a Bear.
He's a big Bears fan.
He's actually a Bear.
Happy birthday, by the way, Kyle's dad's team owner, Squid.
Cost me so much money.
Big 21.
For nothing. Just to puke it up.
All right, at number
Squid,
4, we have, one of the most controversial, I'd say, teams in the league.
Every week, every season.
It is the Brady Bunch. He had a nice win. He beat me week 1. We'll see if PPR is the missing piece to his title because he wasn't a PPR fan, but he wins week 1, and now PPR is the best thing ever.
Brady Bunch, if you're listening, you need to research your football before you pick teams, man. I mean, you get lucky one week, but listen, this number 4 spot, turn that 4 upside down to a 12 because that's where you're going to be next week, buddy.
At number 3, we have Show Me Dem TDs. No one showed up really for your team, and you still beat Tim.
You didn't even have any TDs, man. You had a really bad team, and you got really lucky in the end. So I actually texted you about it, and you didn't text me back until like an hour ago. So I could just tell how much you care.
He just wanted that mention on the show right now, baby. All right, at number 2, we have my favorite team name, personally. It's the Las Vegas Linkstroms. Ben Roethlisberger put up 9 points, and you still managed to drop 139.6 somehow.
He has 3 Minnesota Vikings on his team. You're welcome.
Great win for you, Al. I mean, you're number 2 in the rankings this week. Can't say anything negative about you. At number 1, we have 2 Mannings, 1 Cup. He had a huge win over the best roster in the league, the Tomato Browns, but putting up 151.6 with ease, led by the big man himself, Aaron Rodgers. And Van right now, I'd say, really is a team to beat with 151 points. That's a great week 1.
He always picks Aaron Rodgers, too, in every fantasy draft way too early, like second or third round. I'm like, dude, what are you doing? Like, are you even paying attention? And then he pops up having, like, 160 absurd points, and no one expects it. And you hear the team name, 2 Mannings, 1 Cup. I don't even know how to think when I hear that. First off, then you see 151 points. I mean, I'm kind of confused still.
I can't believe it happened, but you know what? You can never doubt Van. He's still in this one. And he's number 1 in our power rankings this week.
Listen, guys, this is the first of many to come. This is the conclusion of the Untitled podcast for today, September 12th. Going to be dropping tomorrow night, September 13th. Listen, we appreciate you listening. We hope you stuck through it to get to the best part, the power rankings at the end. But be in store for the same thing next week. All football for now. We're going to talk about different sports when it comes to the season. But listen, it's week 1 and week 2 of football. That's all that matters. Calling it out from the studio here at 88.1 FM WVYC Radio. This is Timothy Steins and Ryan Kubicki with the Untitled Podcast. We'll see you soon, guys.
Good night, America.